Jidojo, we sincerely apologize for what the experience is like this morning, but we'll just attempt to still look into the conversation of the task ahead. Um, Going forward, let's look at the fact that we have a lot of ailing sectors in Nigeria, and some of which has been handed down to the current administration. So let's just say there is a robust task ahead of the president. What do you think, and how do you think he should go about, his
Prioritizing.
introduction, yes, around the task? This morning on the front pages of Punch, we see that he has about 16 trillion naira worth of unfinished projects. So let's even say we are starting from there, with projects laying fallow. How is he going to fare?
So he has his job cut out for him. For me, I've said, first and foremost, we need to task him on compliance with the rule of law. And under rule of law, we have supremacy of the law, equality before the law, and fundamental human rights. So, rule of law, which he pledged to uphold, is very important. Then we also need to look at observance of federal character principle so that there is no dominion or domination of one tribe or one religion in the affairs of the country. These are constitutional provisions. We are not asking you to go outside of the Constitution. The Constitution in Section 14 says, Section 14, I think, sub 3, says that there shall be observance of federal character principle for purposes of national cohesion and national loyalty. So, first is to reconcile the country, bring the entire country back. He said he does not see color, he sees Nigerian. He needs to demonstrate that, bring people on board, and attract the best brains from in and out of Nigeria. There are Nigerians in diaspora doing great and wonderful things. Did you know that a Nigerian, Bayo Ogunlese, owns Gatwick airport in UK? In fact, two airports in UK is owned by a Nigerian. And you think there are so many unsung heroes of Nigerian extractions doing great things in diaspora. Some of them are in Joe Biden's cabinet. Some of them are in Rishi Sunak cabinet in UK. There are so many others who could be attracted. Somebody brought Okonjo Iweala to Nigeria. Somebody brought Akinwumi Adesina to Nigeria. Somebody brought Obiese Kwesili from the World Bank. So what I'm saying is that the challenge is enormous, but they are not insurmountable. And as for the plethora of uncompleted projects, we have a report since 2011, Engineer Bunu's report under Goodluck Jonathan administration that already talked about what to do with these uncompleted projects. Some of them are supposed to be auctioned off, and the proceeds used to complete the viable ones, the ones that will add value. Because, my sisters, the truth is that many of these projects that are said to be abandoned were was established for political considerations. Imagine all the military all the military arms in Nigeria now have established university. There's University of Army, University of Navy, University of Air Force. There's a University of Transportation in Daura. So many universities that you don't need. We have the National Defense Academy here in Kaduna, adjacent to Nigeria, to Abuja. They are degree awarding. NDA is a degree awarding institution. Why do you need to go and establish Army University in Borno State, where the chief of army, former chief of army staff comes from? So there are so many projects that are just white elephants, and these projects have to be discontinued, possibly auctioned, and the proceeds from that use it to implement the completion of the extant one.
Okay.
Now we know the debt portfolio of Nigeria is in the excess of 77 trillion. But look at what I have raised this issue. Do you know, ladies, how much you are losing to oil theft? As at the last count, last week, CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele said Nigeria could only meet 1.1 million barrels per day out of the 1.8 million barrels per day oil production. So where does the remaining 700,000 goes to? Mark you, Ghana is only producing about 20,000 petrol, crude oil per day. Nigeria is losing over 700,000 per day. And just imagine if Ashwaju could block that oil theft, the proceeds, the revenue that will be generated from that can be used to fund some of these infrastructural projects rather than going and borrowing. You saw that in the toilet of Buhari administration, they quickly went as a last Sunday, or was it last Saturday or Sunday? They went and amended the CBN Act to allow them to borrow more money beyond the 5% threshold. They now increase the threshold to 15%. That means they want to continue to run government on debt. Every country borrows. If you follow what's going on in US, they are also talking of raising their borrowing ceiling between Joe Biden and McCarthy, the House of Reps,
But I
the
think,
Congress
Judo Joe,
Speaker.
I think, yes, every country borrows, but the issue we've been having in this country is that of waste.
Exactly.
So
I agree
the
with
waste
you.
in the country is
I agree
becoming
with you.
something else, and making us have some of those, uncompleted projects that, like the Punch has also stated. But one thing I want to take you on this morning is I like the fact that you brought in federal character principle, as part of what will help this present administration, if adhered to properly, would help this present administration. But let's also take a swipe at the current appointments that he has made recently, and all of those people jostling for political appointments from the presidency.
So what I've advocated is that you can get the best brain. You say you want to form government of national competence and not national uh, unity. You can find competent people in and out of politics. I've mentioned on Channels TV on the day of inauguration, I said, look, why shouldn't you appoint somebody from Labour Party, for instance? People like Professor Kingsley Moghalu, people like Professor Patu Tomi. You can bring them into your government, people who add value. Politics is over. Election is over. Now is governance. Get the best brain from wherever you are going to get there. Not political jobbers, not necessarily people who lost election. You now want to rehabilitate them. The Badarus of this world, the Simon Lalong of this world, the Ayades of this world. You now want to give them job for the boys so that they continue to live large on the country. No, I'm not saying those people I mentioned are not competent. They have been governors, but don't just use it. Don't just make appointment as a settlement of, we run barren politics. So don't just say, oh, because this person helped me in the election, the next thing is come and be minister. And I did one, and I will implore you ladies to read my article. Because of time constraints, we might not be able to exhaust all the issues. I've already said, look, let's cut down the waste in government. I did mention that there is a lot of waste. How can you be voting billions of naira on welfare and entertainment? In the budget of Federal Republic of Nigeria, welfare and entertainment will take about 3 billion. What are you doing with welfare? If people don't want to eat before coming to see you, then let them go to the restaurant and buy their own meal. Did you know that in US, if you visit Joe Biden, you have to pay. Joe Biden will have to pay for the meal that you are served. And if he, as president of US, if the chef said this is what you are supposed to eat today, Mr. President, and he said, oh, I don't like that, give me something else, he will have to pay from his pocket. There's no free lunch anywhere. That is a US that with all the advancement in technology. But here, you go and see president and you are parting with 1 million naira welfare. You are, take this for your taxi. These are the culture of waste. But beyond that, I also advocated, do we need 43 ministers? The outgoing President Buhari has 43 ministers. Section 147 sub 3 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic, as altered, said you are to appoint at least one minister per state. Assuming without conceding, that is 36.
Yeah.
But even that for me is too large. America runs its entire country with 15 secretaries. 15. That is a country with 300 million population estimate. They have only 15 ministers. Equivalent, they call them secretaries. Why would Nigeria, that has about 7 trillion naira in debt, be having 36, 43 ministers? It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Then must we have 3 senators per state? In US have 2 senators per state. Every state, there are 50 states in US. Whether you are big or you are small, you are represented by 2 senators. Why should our own be different? What is the basis of having 3 senators and 360 House of Reps member? We can reduce that by 1/3 or scrap the Senate and have unicameral legislature at the center as we have in the state.
These are very serious concerns and postulations that we hope that the new administration would consider. But because of time constraint, I would like for you to give thought to this. Something that was in the speech of the president. He said, "Our administration shall govern on behalf but never rule over you. We shall consult and dialogue but never dictate. We shall reach out to all but never put down a single person for holding views contrary to ours." Now, if you would quickly just put this in the box, just a few weeks after the campaigns and the voting, we saw that private stations were being sanctioned because of things people came and said on air, and he has said no person will be held for holding contrary views to the administration. He said he will not be dictatorial. One thing that Tinubu has been defined as is someone who is larger than the systems and institutions of the country. Do you really think that he has the capacity to deliver on this paragraph of his inaugural speech?
He seems not to have choice but to deliver on that. That's one of the sound bites I took out of his speech, which I put in my article, that he said this. So we will remind him. And one of the show of good faith I've also canvassed is that he can release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as a kind gesture to reconcile the Igbos with the Nigerian state. If he releases him, all this sit at home on Mondays will stop. All this unknown government phenomenon will reduce, even if it's not totally gone. But all this hyper agitation, the only way you can douse that tension is if you release somebody who is more like a prisoner of conscience, somebody like Nnamdi Kanu. So the issue of reconciling the country must start, the healing process must start, and like I've said, it needs to go. By the way, he has only 60 days within which to form his cabinet, according to the new constitution. So there is no luxury of time. And he said he will hit the ground running. One of the appointments allegedly made on the evening of his inauguration had been denied, which is the appointment of Dele Alake as the spokesperson. But we hope that there will be no further fake news about appointment.
Yeah.
He needs to hit the ground running, and some of the appointments we are waiting for him to make in the immediate period is that of Chief of Staff, Secretary to the Federal Government, and his persons. That's very key. So he needs to quickly assemble his lieutenants, people who will run government within, because he also needs to do one thing, to reach out to the state governors. Governance is tripartite. 3 arms of government, 3 tiers of government have to work in sync. If they don't want in sync, there will be problems. If the legislature is working at cross purposes to the executive arm, and the judiciary is
Okay, so much to expand on this particular conversation, but I think that so far so good. We've been able to, give some opinions and set some agenda for for this present administration as we speak. But the network seems to be on the way, and our time is up. So we'll say a very big thank you to Jide Ojo, who is the Executive Director, OJA Development Consult, and also Public Affairs Analyst. It's always a pleasure having Jide Ojo live here on set with us. But very quickly now, before we even leave the set, a message from a viewer, Muhammad Abubakar, he sends regarding President Bola Tinubu's inauguration speech. All I can say is that it was well-articulated speech, impregnated with carefully chosen thoughts, both wishful and meaningful. Truly, while watching him live making that speech, I was full of pessimistic thoughts looking at his physical appearance and incoherent speech. Later, after reading the printed version of the speech, I noticed the carefully selected gigantic tasks before Mr. President, which, if properly and successfully implemented, may give succor to Nigerians within the shortest period of time. It has been my prayer that God guide and strengthen Tinubu to actualize his vision. We'll just leave it at that. But I know that questions have, a reason because of the physical gait, unsteady gait of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But that's a conversation for a different day.
Definitely, definitely. And more time will reveal what is in stock. But this is the much we can take today. Thank you for being a part of Rise and Shine. My name is Uyai Anieka, and make sure you're following us across all social media platforms, especially Spectrum T online at Twitter. Let's continue the conversation there. We'll definitely see you tomorrow.
Yes, we'll definitely see you again tomorrow. My name is Janice Cobham. And thank you to our production team for doing a great job. Bye-bye for now.